Real quick before we get into today's video, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon for all their support, because without their help, the upgraded content that you see on the channel, that you really see in the video essays and a few of the lore discussions, would not be possible without their help. But over on the Patreon, you get sneak peeks of videos months in advance. Patrons also get priority on the Q&As. Every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul, and I give away a lot of good goodies in that. And it's also just really cool to talk to you guys in the DMs. And if some of you guys have theories that you want me to talk about on the channel, obviously I will talk about your theories. Just send them to me over on the Patreon. But with that being said, let's get into the review. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys a review for Boruto episode 235. And now that episode 235 is done in the books, we got a little bit to talk about for this episode. Before we get into the review, I'm just going to give you a disclaimer right now. I am going through one hell of an ice storm right now. And so if my audio seems like it's a little bit off, it's literally because I'm recording this review in my car. I am literally charging up a power bank to operate all my devices, and I'm using a hotspot in order to upload right now because there is no power. So the sound might not be as good as it normally is because I don't have access to all the equipment I use. You might hear a little bit of feedback. So with that being said, let's get right into the actual review. So I gotta say, first and foremost, I kind of like the idea of what they're setting up here with Kagura leading the new generation Seven Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, the reformed ones, and taking down Arayumi and all the members of the Funato clan. That's something that Chojuro, the current Mizukage, did 5 years ago in the past. Having Kagura do so with this reformed version of the Seven Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist kind of shows that we're passing the torch from Chojuro over to Kagura, which, as a reminder, he's been handpicked to be Chojuro's successor in the future. So this is a nice passing of the torch. This is actually some pretty symbolic writing. I would give the Boruto anime this. When it comes to the way it's handled its side characters, this is a nice way to continue Kagura's arc, because you could have very easily just left the Hidden Mist Village and that field trip arc as being a bit of a footnote. And it's worth noting that the Hidden Mist field trip arc, on top of being a novel, was also directly name dropped in the manga. So it's one of those things where I don't think this is going to be the last time we see Kagura, especially given the stance that he took on the Seven Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist that he is trying to reform. Now that we got the part of the episode that I personally enjoyed out of the way, let's kind of look at some of the recap and let's look at some of the more important aspects of what we got in this episode. So essentially, the way that this episode starts off is Boruto is on this ship with Sarada and Mitsuki, Kawaki, Kagura, and the 3 reformed members of the Seven Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. And it gets revealed that Kagura, as part of his condition for them being able to work with them, they have a seal on their neck. I know some of you guys caught that last week and said, how come I didn't talk about it in the review? I didn't want to jump to any conclusions in the review, but it gets confirmed in this episode that if these guys get out of pocket, all Kagura has to do is weave one hand sign, and those seals are going to detonate and blow off their heads. And I think that that's the best option. On one hand, you are giving them the opportunity to show that they're truly reformed, and they get the opportunity to knock off some of the sentence. But on the other side of it too, you want to mitigate the risk for any type of damage that come from the fact that you could be wrong about them. So it's a necessary evil in the situation. You can forgive, but not forget the circumstances that led you to being mistrustful of that person. Trust is earned. And these are people that are potentially too dangerous to just be allowed to be given a blank slate. You need to have them in a controlled manner so you can get more data that proves that you can actually trust them. They do enough of these missions like this, maybe the next time you can take off those seals as an act of good faith. But given the circumstances that led to them being locked up, I understand why Chojuro had this done. Now, I thought the usage of comedy where they're hiding from those pirates that are checking out the ship, and Kawaki, his seasickness just gets the best of him and he ends up blowing their cover. I thought that was funny. You quickly see them get rid of those fodder pirates. However, because of what Kawaki did, we're in a situation where they no longer are able to move without the Funato clan being aware of their movement. So they got to get out of there very quickly. And that's when we get the revelation that some of the islands along the way have been destroyed by the Funato clan, and we get the backstory on how Chojuro took them down, and the stakes for their mission is starting to go up because they quickly realize that in order to pull this off, they're going to have to infiltrate the island. And when it comes to making that judgment call for that, Sarada as well as Kagura both come to the conclusion that Boruto can't go there because Boruto is already super heated over seeing that island being destroyed. And given his strong attachment to Denki, I can kind of understand why they're telling Boruto to stay put, because while he did show some level of restraint in the Land of Silence, he did show that he has some of those Minato genes, he also has Naruto's strong impulses. And on an espionage mission like this, you don't want to necessarily roll the dice when there are this many lives at stake, because the entire island's been taken over. You have researchers that need to be rescued. You have civilians that need to be put into a contained location. It's better to have Sarada, who has the Sharingan, in particular the Sharingan's Eye of Insight, as well as the Eye of Hypnotism. And you have Mitsuki, who has the snakes, where he can do surveillance that way, and he can use the snakes as being part of the natural landscape to incapacitate anybody that's in their way. All of that makes a lot of sense for why those two were taken. And when they get to the island, we see how easily these two are able to sneak around, because Mitsuki is poisoning people. Sarada's calling the shots on this. They're gathering their data, and they're quickly realizing that, okay, it's not just the researchers who've been taken hostage, it's also the people on this island, the circumstances of the situation that continue to escalate. And at this point right now, this is no longer a B rank mission. And so I did like seeing how Sarada and Mitsuki were able to compose themselves even when they ran into that robot that Denki was controlling. And what I like here is that after gathering the information that she did, and after coming into contact with that robot, Sarada realizes that the parameters of the mission and just the scope of the mission itself has changed. And you're seeing her orders to Mitsuki adjust accordingly. Not only do they have to rescue Metal Lee, Denki, and Awabe and the researchers, but they've also got to try and liberate that island. But the first thing that they got to do is they've got to meet up with Denki, which is the right call, because Denki will have more information about what transpired on this island before they got there, and they'll be able to formulate a plan together. And once they're able to secure Team 5 and regroup with Team 7 and Kagura's team, they're likely going to be in a situation where they split up the duties, where one group is going to get the researchers and the civilians in a secure location, then the other group is going to end up fighting off the members of the Funato clan that are on that island. So I did think that from a strategy aspect, this worked, and I did like how Denki and his team, they stay in hiding the whole time. They're hiding in a cave. Metal Lee has set up booby traps all over the place, exploding tags that are tied to tripwire, and essentially they're riding out the situation and they're waiting for the opportune time to make their move. And then that's when Sarada is able to follow that robot puppet that Denki was operating back towards the cave where they're at. And the interactions that we see with Denki and with Awabe kind of goes back to what I said when I did the review on the tuning exams episode, where Awabe and Wasabi were fighting. I said neither one of them was truly fit to be a tuning. Awabe's knee-jerk reaction to go out there and to seek out conflict, that's exactly why he's not ready to be a tuning. Because if you go out there and you engage right now with just those three, it'll get the entire team killed. So I did like seeing that right there. And I like how the episode ends off with this major pirate ship convening on Boruto and Kagura and those 3 Seven Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, as well as Kawaki, because I feel like all the pieces have been put in place. And we've had enough time for setup that I do think it's time for the anime to start putting its foot on the gas. I do think that we're going to start seeing some battles in the upcoming episodes. We'll know once we get the episode synopsises for the upcoming anime episodes, but I do feel like from a storytelling perspective, there's not much more setup that you need to do right here. And I think that there's about to be a war on this island, and there's a lot at stake right here, because you have innocent people that you need to secure and get them in a secure location and guarded by 1 or 2 members of your squad. You've got a whole clan of pirates on this island. They're going to have to do guerrilla warfare tactics in order to trim down the numbers, and they're going to have to head-to-head fight against some of the stronger members of that crew, including somebody that Shoujo himself was needed to defeat. So I do think that the anime is setting the stage for an explosion later on, maybe in the next 2 or 3 episodes. Because we almost have enough material right now to round out a home media release. And I don't see this arc dragging over into the next home media release. I don't think there's enough story left to tell for it to last that long. But I'm gonna be very curious to see how Kagura ends up leading this team, because we're in a situation where this is no longer a B rank mission. This is escalated towards being a mission that qualifies as being A rank, and it's a high A rank mission. So I'm going to be very curious to see how he is able to operate on this, because we're getting to the part of the territory now where you could argue that this is a mission that is more so suited for a Jonin. My episode question to you guys is, do you agree with Sarada and Kagura's call that Boruto's not best suited to go on that island for infiltration reasons? And if you were the one that was able to write this story, who out of the members of this team would you choose to be the leader? Would you choose Kagura to be the leader, or would you choose someone else to lead this team? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.